Finaar had always believed that marriage was not a guarantee of happiness, but an opportunity to build it. When she married Raf, a hardworking .com/middle-class man, she expected a simple life, not fancy gifts, not a grand house, not luxuries, just peace, respect, and a family built on understanding. Raf had a modest income, enough to survive, but not enough to satisfy the society that measured worth in cars, land, and status. His parents were gentle people, quiet, humble, deeply respectful toward everyone. Finaar loved that about them. Peaceful, simple, content, but society. Society wasn't peaceful. Society wasn't respectful. Society was cruel. It started small, people commenting on their old house, the simple furniture, the average wedding. No golden runway, no huge stage, no endless decor. Just a simple gathering. For most people, simplicity was beauty, but for some, it was weakness. Every time someone visited, Finaar heard the same sentences disguised as jokes. Bus yahi gar hai. Oh no AC. Koi fridge ka new model nahi. Middle-class logan ko to bus guzara karna hata. Hi. Finaar smiled politely, but inside she felt the knife twist. She never replied. But the humiliation collected inside her chest like a storm waiting to burst. Her mother-in-law tried to comfort her. People talk beta. Don't take it to heart. But when the same society members mocked her parents, Finaar could no longer ignore it. One day at a family event, Finaar overheard women whispering, "Her in-laws are so average. Her father couldn't even give much in the wedding. That's why she's stuck in a small house. I don't know how people like them survive." Finaar froze. She felt her throat tighten. Her hands trembled. It wasn't about her anymore. They insulted her parents, the two people who raised her with dignity, who gave her love far richer than money could buy. Her parents never pretended to be something they weren't. That day, Finaar returned home quietly. Raf noticed the silence. "What happened?" he asked gently. But Finaar shook her head and gave a forced smile. She didn't want him to feel ashamed of something he didn't do. Yet that night, when everyone slept, she sat alone in the dark living room. She remembered her mother's calloused hands, working endlessly to make ends meet. Her father's tired eyes, always hiding the stress so his children wouldn't worry. Their sacrifices, their efforts, their respect, and society dared to belittle them. A fire awakened inside her. A fire she never knew she had. For the first time in her life, she whispered to herself, enough. She was not wealthy. She did not have status. She did not belong to a powerful family. But she had something stronger, pain that had turned into determination. That night, Finaar wrote down a single line in her diary. "I will rise not for myself, but for my parents whom society insulted." From that day forward, she started a silent mission. A mission no one knew about. A mission to build a life so strong that the same society that mocked her would one day bow its head in shame. And thus began Finaar's journey of quiet revenge. Not through anger, not through fights, but through success. She would change everything, her life, her family's standing, her identity, quietly, passionately, and permanently. The society that insulted her would soon realize they didn't step on a weak girl. They woke up a storm. The next morning, the world outside looked the same: dusty roads, old houses, noisy neighbors, but something inside Finaar had changed completely. Her fire was awake now. She wasn't the quiet, soft-spoken girl society assumed she was. She had a plan, and she needed to start from somewhere. A silent beginning. Groff, as always, left early for work. Her in-laws went about their usual routines, but Finaar stayed awake before dawn, cleaning, cooking. And then, when everyone thought she was resting, she opened her notebook. Her dream: start her own online clothing business. Why clothing? Because society mocked her for wearing simple clothes. They judged her appearance. They judged her middle class lifestyle. She would turn their insults into her strength. She began learning from YouTube tutorials: business, marketing, stitching trends, online platforms. She borrowed her mother-in-law's old sewing machine and started stitching clothes in her free time. Every day she made at least one dress simple, classy, and elegant. Her mind had changed. Her routine had changed. Only society had no clue what was about to happen. The first step into the world after 3 weeks of work. She uploaded pictures of her stitched dresses on social media. No fancy photo shoots, no expensive models, just her designs laid neatly on a white sheet. Within hours, nothing happened. No likes, no comments, no orders. But Finaar didn't stop. She posted daily. She learned daily. She improved daily. Slow progress meant nothing to her now. A spark she didn't expect one evening. A girl from a nearby town messaged, "Price of this dress." Finaar's heart raced. Her first order. When she delivered the dress, the girl was shocked. Yeah, designed to market, Main 3000 QA Milta High, or Tum 1500 Main, Itna Achabana Dia. That one girl recommended her to 3 more. Those 3 recommended her to 10 more. Orders began slowly, steadily, and then unexpectedly fast. Suddenly her phone buzzed constantly. "Is this available? Please make this in small size. Do you do custom orders? Boet neat come Cardi Hain." Her eyes filled with tears, not of sadness but hope. She hid her growing business from society for now. Let them stay blind a little longer. Her revenge would taste better when revealed at the right time. The first blow to society. Yearly community gathering was approaching. Women who once insulted her family would be there, shimmering in gold, dripping with arrogance. Finaar decided to go not in expensive clothes, not in jewelry, but in one of her own stitched dresses. A simple pastel dress with soft embroidery. When she entered, conversation stopped. She didn't need wealth to shine. Her confidence did it for her. One of the same women who insulted her parents whispered, "Wow. Aj Tizara ala glagra hai. Yeah, dress kahan se leia." Another asked. Finaar smiled. "I made it myself." The realization hit them. Hard. Suddenly, they began admiring her work, praising the design, pretending to be kind, and then came the moment that shook them all. 2 women at the gathering walked up to her and asked loudly, "Can we order dresses from you for our daughters?" The same women who once mocked her simple furniture were now asking for her work. Society bowed its head for the first time. Growing storm. Her business skyrocketed after that event. People trusted her, loved her work, ordered from her every week. Her room filled with fabric, her table filled with orders. Her bank account started growing. Still, she didn't brag. She didn't show off. She stayed calm, quiet, focused, because her revenge was not complete yet. The day society crossed the line, everything was going well until one afternoon. When she went to visit her parents, her mother greeted her with a shaky smile. Her father avoided eye contact. Something was wrong. After a long pause, her mother whispered, "Beta." Neighbors again said, "Hum tum her. Layak nahi thay. That you deserve a richer family. And we couldn't give you anything." Finaar felt her heart explode with rage. They were still insulting her parents behind her back. Still humiliating them. Still calling them average. Still judging their worth by money. She clenched her fists so tight her nails dug into her skin. Her voice trembled. "Amy, I promise you, one day these same people will never dare to speak a word against you. They will learn your real worth through me." Her mother blinked back tears, not understanding how her soft daughter could speak with such fire. But Finaar knew her next step now. Success was not enough. Society needed to experience the power of the girl they mocked, and she would make sure her parents stood. Taller than everyone else, her revenge journey had officially begun. The night after visiting her parents, Finaar barely slept. Their trembling voices and broken expressions kept echoing in her mind. She had achieved successes. She had built enemies. Society had started to respect her work. Yes, but none of it mattered until her parents received the same respect. She knew one thing now. Revenge was no more about proving people wrong. It was about giving her parents the dignity they deserved. The next morning, Finaar sat at her sewing machine, but her hands didn't move. The thread tangled. Fabric slipped. Her chest felt heavy. She pushed herself away from the chair and whispered, "I will not cry. Not anymore." She stood in front of the mirror and saw a face that was no longer timid, no longer shy, no longer silent, but strong, determined, unbreakable. Her mind sharpened. Her plan formed clearly. If society measured worth through money and success, she would rise so high that no one would ever dare look down on her family again. Finaar began waking up at 4 a.m. She cleaned, cooked, packed orders, stitched designs, handled customers, and still managed her house responsibilities flawlessly. Her husband, Rolf, was shocked. "Tum thakti nahi ho." He asked one night. She smiled softly, "Thakawat. Unlagen, kohoti, hijink, enderhimat, kam ho." He didn't fully understand, but he supported her silently. Soon her business grew beyond stitching. She started online tutorials, custom bridal designs, wholesale supply to boutiques, collaboration with influencers, handmade accessories. A small team of 2 village girls she trained. Her self-money began flowing more than Rolf earned, more than anyone expected. But she didn't reveal her earnings. Revenge needed patience. Revenge needed timing. Every year, her town held a grand cultural festival where people displayed their traditions, businesses, and talents. It was the biggest social gathering of the year, where upper-class families walked with pride and middle-class families stayed quiet. For years, Finaar attended silently. This year, things would be different, the committee announced. Stalls available for local entrepreneurs. People laughed at the idea that a middle-class wife could afford a stall. Ari is koq banana ada high. Middle-class log bus sapdekt. Hain. Ja log surf dikne, k li thiek. Handikane k li nahi. Finaar ignored every sarcastic smile. She booked the biggest stall, an entire corner. When the women heard this, they were confused. Who gave her the money? Where did she get confidence? Is she trying to show off now? But they would soon learn. When Finaar arrived, people froze. Her stall was breathtaking. Soft lights, pastel drapes, handmade embroidery displays, models wearing her designs, professional photography, an organized setup that looked like a boutique opening. Everyone was shocked. Yeah, Finaar ka stall high. Impossible. Middle-class log itna, invest kai's kar sagt hain. But the real shock came when customers lined up at her stall. Young girls, mothers, even the same arrogant women from before. One of them picked up a dress and whispered, "Kitna Kobsarat design high." Another admitted, "I had no idea she had such talent." Not one of them dared insult her today. Their pride melted in front of her success. But Finaar wasn't done yet. Toward the evening, the stage lights turned on. The host announced, "Next, we present the designer who has taken the entire festival by storm. Finaar Bano." Every head turned, every mouth shut, every eye widened. Finaar stepped on stage in a dress she stitched herself, elegant, modest, powerful. She took the microphone, her voice calm but strong. "I come from a very simple family. People said we were too average, too small, not worthy of being respected. But today I stand here because simplicity doesn't define weakness. Hard work does." The entire hall became silent. Women who once mocked her looked down in shame. And I want to thank the people who criticized me, because their arrogance became my biggest motivation. A few women swallowed hard. Everyone understood who she meant, but most importantly, she continued, voice trembling slightly, "I dedicate this success to my parents, those who were insulted only because they weren't rich. Today, I want them to know I am proud to be their daughter." Tears filled the crowd, especially her parents, standing in the back, shocked and emotional. For the first time ever, society applauded her. Not politely, not softly, but with full respect. After the event, people rushed to congratulate her. A pume bidres bananji. Please collaborate with my boutique. You are so talented, Mashallah. The same women who once said her family wasn't good enough stood in front of her now, trying to impress her. She smiled, humble yet strong. My parents taught me never to treat anyone with arrogance. So don't worry. I won't treat you the way you treated them. That one sentence felt like a slap, soft but loud. Her revenge was not loud. It was graceful, elegant, and unforgettable. That night, society didn't sleep easily because they realized the girl they once mocked had risen far above them, and this was only the beginning. The cultural festival changed everything. People who once looked down on her now lowered their eyes out of shame. People who once mocked her now praised her talent. And people who once insulted her parents now tried to smile politely. But for Finaar, this was only the beginning of her real revenge. The fire inside her had turned into a glowing strength, calm, quiet, unstoppable. Within a month, her business exploded. Her page gained thousands of followers. She received orders from other cities. A boutique offered her a partnership. Social media influencers wore her designs. Her sewing machine couldn't keep up. So she bought 3 more. Then she hired more village girls. Girls who were also ignored. Girls whom society called average. Girls with dreams no one respected. She taught them stitching, designing, packing, customer service. Soon her home became a small workshop full of creativity and energy. One girl whispered, "Auntie, you changed our lives." Finaar smiled softly. "No, Betty, I'm just giving you what society refused to give, respect." Jealousy rose like wildfire. The same women who once insulted her felt threatened now. Yeah, Itni Jaldi, famous Kai's, Hogi. She used to be so simple. Where did she get all this confidence? She's showing too much success. Their tongues dripped with jealousy. But they couldn't deny the truth. Finaar had outgrown them. She wasn't the girl they mocked. She wasn't the wife they pitied. She wasn't the daughter from a small family. She was a brand, a name. A revolution. Months passed, and her town held a Women's Success Award ceremony, honoring female entrepreneurs. Everyone knew Finaar would receive the biggest award. But what no one expected was what she did next. When her name was announced, she went on stage wearing a simple pastel dress, humble yet elegant. The trophy was placed in her hands. The applause thundered. But she didn't smile widely. She didn't say thank you immediately. Instead, she said, "I want to call my parents on stage." Gasps filled the hall. People who insulted them froze in their seats. Her parents hesitated, looking afraid. But she insisted when they stepped onto the stage, they looked nervous, too simple. Humble parents who had always lived quietly. Finaar held their hands tightly and spoke into the microphone. These 2 people were insulted simply because they didn't have money. Society judged them like they were less than everyone else. People stared at the floor, embarrassed. But today, I stand here because of their upbringing, their values, their honesty. She turned to them with tears in her eyes. "Ami, Abu, you were never small. It was society that had a small heart." Her parents cried openly. The entire hall stood up for a standing ovation, something they had never received in their lives. This was not just revenge. This was justice. After the ceremony, women who once mocked her parents came rushing. "Auntie, please don't mind what happened in the past. We didn't mean to hurt you. You know how society is." Her mother looked at Finaar, unsure how to respond. Finaar stepped forward and said calmly, "It's okay. We don't carry hate. But don't forget, the people you look down on today may become the people you look up to tomorrow." A soft but sharp warning, a graceful slap, a permanent reminder. One night, Rolf came home from work and saw Finaar sitting with a team of girls, teaching them new embroidery techniques. He watched silently as they learned from her with respect and admiration. Later, when the house quieted, Rolf said softly, "Mujhe hamisha lagdatha. Tum boat simple ho. Likan tum to marry so. Se boat, zayada mazboot nikli." Finaar smiled gently. It's never about being simple. It's about knowing your worth. For the first time, Rolf truly understood the strength of the woman he married. Years passed, Finaar opened her own boutique, Finaar Couture, a beautifully designed shop in the city center. Rich families, influencers, celebrities, everyone waited for her bookings, and the society that once called her average now showed her respect wherever she went. People would whisper, "She's Finaar, the girl who proved society wrong. The girl who changed everything, but the sweetest victory." Whenever people visited her parents, they treated them with honor, with politeness, with admiration because their daughter had outshined the whole community on the opening day of her boutique. Surrounded by cameras and crowd, a journalist asked, "What motivated you the most?" Finaar looked straight into the camera and replied, "The arrogance of society." And with that, she turned and walked inside her boutique, a queen who built her own empire. Her revenge was complete, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with success, dignity, and grace. The girls society underestimated became the woman they could never forget.